Hi everyone. So today, what showed up for me was watching too much television. I have seen this pattern coming again and again, where I have watched for example, I'm watching series one after another, and at the end of it, I have what came up was guilt, regret, shame, sadness and grief of losing some precious time. I could have done something more constructive. That's another belief. And anger, it's like self anger towards targeted towards myself. Why did I watch that much television? So I see this is like a recurring pattern which keeps on showing up. And so I want to get some clarity from the guides regarding it. Let's see what they have to say about this. So I'll be channeling. The intention is to get clarity on the pattern of why there is a self sabotage about watching too much television, and why is that a construct. So, like, how to deconstruct it so I don't get into the same trap again. So that's the intention for the channeling. So let's see where we go. Intention is to call upon high frequency guides of light and love, and all others bind from us. Give us clarity about the subject matter for which the intention is set. Greetings. There is a program that things has to be in a certain way. What the productivity or productivity, the definition you have, is very concerned with the value of an individual. That's where everybody gets entangled, is self-value. And the definitions which people have given to self-value, if you produce something, and there is again a definition associated to producing something where one needs an external validation from somebody. For example, if you take an example of a school system where you are studying and you have all this grading system, and if you have A grade, then you have an immense value. If you have a F grade, then you are a failure. So these definitions you have picked up from the childhood. If somebody has given you a narrative growing up, watching too much television is bad, you are a bad boy, that definitions get stuck up in your psyche because that was a self protective mechanism growing up as a kid, which you needed to have an attachment to an individual, which may your parents, maybe it your teachers, so that there's a pleasing mechanism, if you have to say that. To get that attachment to the teacher, you have to gain the definition as a protective mechanism. That's what you had growing up. So now, in this time, you have to reevaluate whether the definition, that is, you watch too much television, You are a bad boy. Does that definition gives you calm, peace, or does it gives you restlessness? Because you can have that awareness right now that you don't have that teacher figure with you, you don't have that parent figure with you because you are an adult. You can reevaluate because there is no fear of that attachment getting loosed, and you're not dependent upon that teacher or you're not dependent upon the parent for your livelihood or for your protection, for your growth, for giving you food, shelter, and love and care. You are not dependent upon that person. You are an individual soul, you are an individual being, you are grown up, you are taking care of yourself, you are giving food to yourself, you are giving shelter to yourself, and you have an understanding that if you make a different choice, make a different selection than what you had as a small kid, because the fear of a small kid was you will lose that connection, you will lose that attachment to the person who's giving you shelter and food. So you need had that was a, if we have to say, is a very smart choice growing up. You complied with that, you took care of yourself using that statements. But now you can see, reevaluate as you have grown up right now. Does that definition, you watch television, you are a bad boy, does that give you peace in your body or does it give you restlessness? Because you see, there is nobody external right now. There is no teacher, there is no parent in front of you. The definition is stuck in your psyche and it's just repeating itself. So you have a choice. Do you want to keep that definition or do you want to let it go? The first and foremost thing is recognizing it is happening. That's the foremost thing, which is the observation part of it. Because once you observe it, then you have a choice. Do you want to keep it or do you want to leave it? Everybody has a choice. When there is hopelessness, when there is a belief that this will never change, then you yourself are cutting yourself from that choice which you already have. You always have a choice to change that definition. That is you as a creator. You are always, 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 always changeable. So now you can make a choice. Do you want to keep that definition or do you want to let it go? What are the advantage of keeping the definition? As a child, the advantage was you will get food and shelter. But do you get the same advantage by keeping that definition? No, because you yourself are giving you food and shelter. What are the other advantages do you had as a child for keeping the definition? There was fear of losing that connection from your parent or from your teacher, so you have to change yourself to please them. But now you can reevaluate. Having the definition, will it still keep you attached to your parent? Or, in other words, if you let go of the definition, will you lose your connection with your parents? They don't know that you have a definition running at this moment, if you have to see that clearly. So, if that doesn't even matter for the connection with your parents, you may or you may not have any connection to your teachers who once may have told you that definition. So, if you reevaluate, does it matter for the connection with your parents? No. So, the definition, if you say, is a boogie thing. It's like some burden which you have been carrying for such a long time. So now you can let go of the definition saying, thank you. Thank you. You served me a purpose when I was a kid. You helped me get shelter, food, and attachment, and that sense of safety, which is, we won't go into details for what it was. That may be a session in itself. But this right now does not give me any sense of safety, protection, food or shelter, and connections with anybody. So thank you for your purpose. I'll let you go in peace. So acknowledge, because acknowledgement is telling the definition that your work is done. Once definition knows its work is done and complete, it is gone. Always, 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 always acknowledge all the emotions you have. Because in the society, what we have seen is there is a tendency to resist the emotions, which is, this is bad, I don't want to feel it. The resistance persists. If you keep on resisting the emotions, it will get stuck to the body. So once there is a resistance occurs to the emotion, just observe it. In the somatic practices, what has been says is see sense of safety. It is always easier if you have a coach, if you say, who can help you navigate the emotions. How do you feel in the body when you have the emotions? You get that reference point for how the emotions feel in the body, and having somebody with you as a guide will help you to navigate the emotions, how to process it. Because once you process the emotions, allow it to feel, they are gone. They have done their job. They are processed. So, on the thing of watching too much television, it's your own life, it's your own joy. Also, go back to the previous situation where you were watching the television. Does it give you pleasure? Does it give you satisfaction, sense of enjoyment? Connect to that emotions, because once you connect that to those emotions, you will feel complete. So it is now changing from the past, which is what you were feeling, and acknowledging the present, which is how you're feeling when you're watching the television, which is peace, enjoyment, recognizing those emotions. Because what you recognize will get stick to you. If you're recognizing more and more and more, whirling into regret, fear, anger, worry, then that will become like a signature for you, or that is what I'm experiencing. But if you recognize also the enjoyment part of it, if you recognize the fun part of it when you are watching something, that's what you registered in your body. So now it is like a movement from one emotions to the another emotions. How do you move from one emotions to another emotion? Is by acknowledging. What we are telling you here is, if you have to move from regret to peace, how do you move from regret to peace? Is first acknowledging the regret. It is happening. Seeing where it is in the body it is landing, and allowing it space, breathing into it, letting it live. Because once it is lived and has taken breath, it is complete. And then you can focus on peace, the space where the regret was. It will get transformed into peace, and then you can acknowledge the peace in your body. That's what's the movement from one emotions to another. The negative can be acknowledged. That's how the integration happens. It's not the resistance to the negative which will let it go. You cannot ever, 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 ever resist something that will always get attached to you. It is always a movement from one form to another form, to another form, to another form. You cannot destroy anything, it's just changing form. That's where the focus is when you have to move from one emotion to another, is to change the form. How the form changes is just by acknowledging it. Once you acknowledge it, once it opens up, it changes by itself. You are not doing anything. So that's where we leave you, is whenever anything is bothering, for example in this context was watching television, is to identify what are the emotions and what are the feelings you are feeling it. Acknowledging all those emotions will transmute it by itself. Second of all, see what was the purpose at the first place for having those thoughts. What was it giving you? And now, in this moment and time, you can reevaluate, is it giving you the same benefit? If it is not, that means it has served its purpose. You can acknowledge it, thank it, and let it go. And third of all, is also acknowledging and recognizing the emotions and the frequency, the action which it was giving you. For example, in this case was watching television. It was giving you pleasure, entertainment, sense of fulfillment or satisfaction once you were watching it. So you can go back to acknowledging those frequencies in the action. Once you have done it, you're basically tipping the scale to what actually that action was giving you. So, acknowledging the reality of it rather than what the mind is telling you. So, we'll leave you here. Enjoy whatever you feel gives you much contentment and fulfillment and excitement. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Bye.